Alright, number one here, real easy rhythm. The main thing is watching what that thumb does. So starting with a stiff, straight thumb is basically what we want. So this way, if the thumb does move down, it's going to do the bend the thumb knuckle for a downstroke versus going flat for the downstroke. So hopefully that video I sent you is helpful, makes sense. If you have questions with that whole thumb picking idea, let me know. But basically, if you use the thumb, you want it to go the same direction as the wrist. And yeah, here we go. Number 160. Hang on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the wrong note. Goodness gracious, what a start. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was exaggerating the thumb motion on purpose to really show what it looks like. So if you want to try getting that thumb motion in like this, that's also a good idea. Exaggerate how that would go. Because I do see benefit in learning how to do that technique. Absolutely do. And if you learn how to do that, I feel it's going to eliminate doing it the opposite direction way. So let's make that a goal this week. For number one here especially, try and make a good effort. Exaggerate that down, up with your thumb like that. And take some of the advice in that other video on how you can do that. Let's see what happens. Alright, eventually you get going so fast you can't make that motion very well at all. And then it has to be like a wrist and arm moving the pick. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for it, I was still kind of exaggerating the motion there. I was trying to exaggerate it as much as I could throughout that. It took me, I think, like 3 years before I became very comfortable with that. So it's not an easy technique. But it got easier by trying that motion as much as I could at the slower tempos that allowed me to do so. But when my wrist and arm started to take over to hit higher speeds, I just let that happen. So same thing that you're going to have to do. Eventually you just have to let the bigger muscle groups take over. Okay. Number 2, back to the more rhythmic stuff. 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. I played that wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a good pinch. Yes. All right, number 3. Coming in on the upbeat of 1, every bar, 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember to end that with your index finger, so this way you are prepared for the repeats. 120, 1, 2, 3, 4. 180, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. What the hell? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There. Alright, improv stuff. I use the same track I sent you a link to last night. So yeah, using any of those scale shapes, any of them at all, they work. Just make sure you're tuned up first. Speaking of which, I hope I'm still in tune, but the locking tuners, they're locking nut, you'd think it would be in tune still. So, the thing I mentioned was putting space between the notes and just letting stuff sing for a bit. Just say they hit a few notes at a time, let things ring out. You can hit the same note several times in a row, let that ring out. Be rhythmic with it too. So, instead of just going up and down the scale, although you could do that. Let's see, get some volume here. Yeah, so you could just go up and down. But then, like maybe for whatever new scale you're working on. So let's say, I think you got through E Phrygian. Make sure you work on the open one too. So when you're working on F Lydian, let's use that since that's coming up. So you can start off with just going up and down. Then, think of it like this. You're gonna go up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit more, down a little bit, up a little bit more, down a little bit. So you get to the top, and then you're gonna go down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit more, up a little bit, down a little bit more. So, if I was doing it on like one string, kind of like here, working your way up and then work your way down. Now using that F Lydian scale shape. Another thing to do, if you play a lick or a riff that you really like, do it several times. Do it several times in a row, like 10 in a row, so you can put that in your subconscious. Write it out even, or record it so you can go back to it again and again. I mentioned like hitting one note multiple times, being rhythmic with it, like. So this way it didn't have to be constant, different note all the time. And then, just when you get more comfortable with it, you're kind of looking for like stuff that sounds good to hang out on. Any of the A notes are going to work quite well for this. So you kind of like, you have like home base, you go away from that, and then you try and find home again. You go away from home and you come back again. So it's that whole call and response type of idea. You create tension, you release tension. Tension, release, tension, release. And you don't have to go like linearly with the notes either. Skip around. Going out of the shape. Anyway, once you start getting comfortable with it, like, so you said you got the C Ionian, the D Dorian shape, the E Phrygian. Yeah, that was terrible. You can start going between those and like kind of stay in that area. It doesn't have to be anything crazy fast. I mean, eventually, sure. We'll get to that point. But starting off, just getting the improv stuff comfortable, go slow, put space between the notes, and solos are going to sound way more interesting that way too. It's like, Yngwie Malmsteen's always a great example. He's the guy that inspired me to play as fast as I possibly could. However, I also agree that once you've heard one Yngwie solo, you've heard them all. Because he's constantly just trying to cram notes in all over the place, same arpeggios all the time. It's his songs that use really cool riffs that have space in between the notes. That's the memorable stuff. Stuff that's singable. That's the memorable stuff. So things to keep in mind there when improvising. Try to think, singable. And then when you start getting faster and you're able to do more difficult things, then you sprinkle them in. It's just like, when you're cooking something and you're going to add spices and whatnot to it. It's like, yeah, you can improve the dish with just a little bit of spice, right? But if it's constant spice the whole time, you might ruin it. So, there we go. Any questions come up, let me know. I will see you again next week.